She didn't actually come up with an unductee because an unductee is what I called it because she didn't send one in. So it's an unductee email. And she just...
Who are we voting out?
We're not voting anybody out. They can stay.
Nate.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm a co-host. You
Fuck
can't vote me
yes.
out.
Solo show. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, reading A Storm of Swords. Nate's computer just let us know how sick that was. As always, I'm your motherfucking host, Zach, and sitting here with me, my foul-mouthed family member, Nathan.
That's me. I'm not foul-mouthed.
No,
I'm a little foul.
I like alliteration.
I also realized
even
that
though it's only two.
You started so much earlier than I expected. I have like extra shit open on my computer right now that's not closing yet, and like
blame it on me
well,
that he's not ready.
Oh, now
why do you have Twitch open? What the fuck are you twitching?
It just auto opens, and I restarted the computer before we.
It
went.
auto opens, folks. What's with that Pornhub tab?
That auto opens too. Are you kidding me?
When
anyway,
it's set as your main.
If you've joined us before, you know that we are a podcast that reads A Song of Ice and Fire. We don't discuss Nate's Pornhub history. And with that, we are...
Oh, man, that one's got you good.
I know.
We are a full spoiler reread. If you haven't read the series before, we will ruin it for you because we're dickheads who do that. And if you've joined us before, welcome back. We love you all. Sorry about the hiatus with this episode.
My computer's not doing too hot right now.
Yeah, so we ended up having to sit down and re-record what we had originally done, which is we'll think it'll be okay.
Should be okay. We apologize if it sounds like we've talked about it before, because we have.
Right.
And we'll do our best to make it seem new.
We love this fucking chapter.
Yeah,
and so it's not going to be hard to revisit the hype for it. With that, we are reading Dany 3, but last episode, you joined us in the fuck cave that was John 3.
Which is a great chapter.
It is a great chapter.
We gave it a lot of shit, I think. Not even that much shit.
The blossoming of their romance, and John regretting everything that's going on with the romance in spite of his vows, and he's struggling with that, and it's building John's character. It's not just fucking it. I mean, it is, but
we also get some cool backstories,
lore.
We get to see a little bit of the differences between the North and the wildlings, the true North, and like just from
Grendel
small points,
and
the
cool
constellations
caves,
and stuff like that.
Arson Ice Pick. We get some cool wall-related stories.
So
but
anyway.
The cool stuff. We've all been like, come on, we know that everyone loves this fucking chapter. Dany 3. Last we left Dany. See, Nate's computer loves it too.
It does.
I'm sorry. Are we good?
I probably. I don't even know if that's getting picked up, and you're drawing all the attention.
Right,
to
I'm
it.
going to for your shame.
You're an awful person.
The unprofessionalism.
Last time we read Dany, in Dany 2,
she had met with the worst people that she's yet encountered. Slavers. Oh, don't even. She was repulsed. She slapped Jorah not only for bringing her here because he touched her too. So Dany had made it to.
Before we I wanna that like.
You disagree? You don't think that Dany would call them the worst people she's met yet?
Dany maybe.
That's exactly what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, in her capacity, the worst people she's met. Yeah. I'm not
even
saying
that like
that we've
in
met.
her capacity. Yeah, because I'm saying like that she's met. But, like, because the Dothraki they're slavers in their own right. And
right.
So they rape and they pillage.
But she became one of them and now leads them. So it's by her
perspective.
It's by her, right. Yeah, it's her account.
Okay.
The worst people she's met yet on her account. I mean, we've met Ramsay. We've met Tywin. We've met Tyrion, Cersei. We know truly vile people. Dany hasn't yet. And
they're pretty vile people. But
Dany was taken to Astapor after gaining Arstan Whitebeard and Strong Belwas to her side.
Belwas?
Barry the Bold and Strong Belwas. And they went to Astapor on some of Illyrio Mopatis's ships. And Jorah suggested this, we find out, and Dany hates it.
To check into the Unsullied, because he said, we could buy an army there.
And Dany's pissed because had she not known of the existence of this slave train that runs in these free cities, quote-unquote, she wouldn't have to free them all, but now she does, and she takes some of her pent-up sexual assault aggression and the aggression that she now has to make a decision that really she shouldn't be focusing on because she has other means and goals. But
one fun point of note to take from that chapter is how she was pretending not to be able to speak the language there.
Right.
And
very significant.
I love the pretense, and that it was her. It was Barristan's. Was it Barristan?
It was Jorah's.
It was
idea.
Jorah's.
Yeah,
idea.
it was a.
I just don't want to give him credit for anything.
No, for sure.
Jorah.
Ian Glenn portrayed him as such a gentleman, and the book is just so atrocious. Yeah, he suggested that, and that's important because it immediately gave her the take of crassness, fuck all, and she knew immediately who he was, and the quickness of this slave girl who was translating, and how she was able to take the dog shit that he was spewing and translate it to a queen, or someone who at least called himself a queen. But Dany 3.
Let's open.
We open. The plaza is hot as shit, and Dany wants every single one, even the ones in training.
Even the ones that haven't yet killed their puppy.
And the negotiations begin. The gross little pack of them huddle together and begin whispering, and she notes her gown today, a Carthene silk, deep purple with the left breast bared, signifying temptation, I think. And I like it because it's a Carthene.
Right.
Where Dany was lured into the circumstances and taken for a fool. And it's
the opposite.
Dany is absolutely taking everyone.
I think it's
in
super
this chapter
cool
for a fool
that Martin wrote this little arc here. These 3 chapters. It's all it's been is 2 chapters technically since she's arrived here. This little arc of her and how hard this twist hits.
How much she learned from Qarth.
Yeah. And so to play them from the beginning of that chapter, by the time she left there, she was forming this plot of, I'll give them a fucking dragon. Like that was
that's what I think the significance of the Carthene silk is that she
learned there.
The Palace of Dust. That was her first braid in Victory, and she's going to use what she learned there, and that's the clue. That is the one of few clues we get if you're quick enough on your first read to pick it up, that Dany's learned. Dany knows what she's doing here. And she's got her own posse, Eerie, Jequi, Whitebeard, Belwas, her Blood Riders, and Jorah sweltering in the heat behind her. And the slavers confer. Dany had been told their names, but it's hard to keep them straight, and that's the truest foreshadowing there ever fucking has been, because that's just the rest of Dany's story, is hard to keep these names straight.
Right.
And they argue in High Valyrian, while Dany tries to keep her face just blank and ignorant. Right. She doesn't know what they're saying. Yeah, right. Again, killing it. And, of course, they deny her request for the untrained boys.
Right, because they have a reputation to uphold. They can't be sending untrained soldiers out.
It ain't going to work. And Dany offers double.
Well, and what I think is interesting here is they obviously don't know. You're not going to be surviving long enough to train them, yo. She's freeing them now. Yeah, she's getting them out of harm's way.
Every
now.
Slave in this city is leaving with me today.
Get the fuck out of here.
So, of course, she offers to pay double. And the guy laughs and says, look at her. Of course the whore will. She'll play triple if we ask it. You're goddamn right she would.
Right.
Because she's handing over nothing
Not
today.
Not a goddamn thing.
And so Dany says also, you've searched our ships. You know how much I have. And currently, they go through it, she has enough for 5 centuries of Unsullied, which is 500. And her crown might buy another century.
She's not selling the crown.
Her brother became the beggar prince.
I like that she's latched onto that. No. Like, he sold his crown. What do you have? Like, obviously, it's a piece of metal. But that's a symbol. Right. It is your power.
I think she views it as the last tie to their mother. And her mother isn't as scorned as her father.
Right.
Her mother could have been good. Her mother could have been righteous. And so it's that one question mark. And that's why I think she'll latch on here coming to the stories of Rhaegar and how gentle he was. Wait, there was compassion in my family? And I think her mother may have represented that for her in that crown. When he sold it, that was the last of Viserys' compassion. Because after that, he became fucking vicious toward her.
The beggar king.
Right, and did whatever. And so she will not allow that. With her ships thrown in, that would get her 2,000 more, and that's with the wise masters being most generous.
And so that's when she goes and throws the cherry on top of the little cake. How about dragon, bitches?
Give me all, and you may have a dragon, though it is bitter in her mouth. Now,
just saying it out loud.
So we get first read. I was hooked, line and sinker.
Oh, yeah.
She's selling a dragon.
Me as well.
She's giving a dragon here. I had seen the show, but by this point, I had gotten the clue that the show wasn't exactly taken from the books, and so I was skeptical here. I had no fucking clue what was actually happening, and the surety behind it, the bitterness in her mouth. Like, Martin writes this like Dany's convinced she's doing it.
Right.
And it's not. To her, it's just disgusting to even say, to offer these men a dragon for
even
slaves.
as a feint.
Right.
Yeah.
Even as,
Gross.
right, as the ploy that it is, it's bitter in her mouth, and it's beautiful.
He does not like
Takes a knee. Takes a knee
my queen,
to beg
please. The respect that this man fucking, it wouldn't just be with her. If it was...
He knows how wrong this is.
Right.
Barristan knows that you shouldn't question your liege in front of in a deal with...
It may be me reaching. I almost feel like Dany specifically wanted him here, knowing that he would.
To do this.
He would.
It adds to the
even
favor.
in front of everybody. He absolutely would. And so when she scolds him after...
I don't think she knew it would be Arstan. I think it was Arstan, Jorah, her blood riders, Eerie, Jiqui. Somebody in this group is going to know the value is too much and is going to say, Your Grace, no. And I think she counted heavily on that. And I think that's why no one was left behind today. They're all here. Her whole posse's here. And I think it was for that. I think Dany was banking on it, even though she scorns him later.
Which I adore.
She has to. She's queen.
Yeah, right.
But
notice the way she scorns him versus the way she scorns Jorah.
Of course.
Well, I mean, they're two different.
For sure.
But
yeah,
they can't refuse.
Dany orders Jorah to remove Whitebeard from her presence. Get him out of here.
Which is a fucking great show. I mean, so now this is all starting to remind me of Rob's ploy to Kat when he was introducing her to Jane
Westerling. Yeah. His little wifey.
There's nothing you can do.
This setup's already here.
It's all we're already in checkmate. We just have to let the plays go in now. And they don't even realize it. And so her sending him out no, you played your role. You have one little more thing you got to do. Get the fuck out of my sight.
And then again, Dany knows their answer before it comes. She can see it in their eyes and in their smiles. Of slaves, there are millions. Of dragons, there are 3. And the Giscari lust for dragons. That harkens back to the old Giscari, which was bested by Valyria time and time and time again, and it's a deep... So again, how wise she is. She knows the history of these people.
Well, and it's interesting that Martin is playing back to her previous chapters, because when she first entered, she specifically mentioned old geese.
The harpy, yeah,
because she was daydreaming about it when he interrupted her. She was pondering their history while he sat there ignorantly
going
taunting.
off, calling her a whore and a slut, right? Yeah. So they demand Drogon, the biggest, all her goods save her crown and queenly raiments, and it is done. 8 times done.
And we will even throw in Missandei. They didn't say her name because they don't know her
The
name,
translator, as a bargain well struck. And so Dany leaves, Arstan tapping his staff the entire way, and she can't blame him. The mother of dragons has sold her strongest child. Even the thought made her ill.
Even the thought
That's
of it.
all it is.
She says it.
Right.
She says it right there.
Like, just playing this role has me sickened to think of giving Drogon over to them. And so she tells Barry here, she scolds him and tells him, never question me in front of strangers. And he says that she's been cheated. A dragon's worth more than any army, as Aegon proved on the field of fire. And Dany, of course, fires back.
Right.
Do you have...
No, I don't got that part written. I went with broad strokes this chapter.
She says, I know what Aegon proved, and I mean to prove a few things myself, or a few things of my own, which, again, she's sort of and she will later too, she equates this to her trident. This is her field of fire.
I really want to equate her right now to Varys and Littlefinger because of her wordplay there, that she has a thing to prove. Yes, to the world that she's a dragon queen and that she's also to Barry. Like, you're doubting me,
right.
Your queen.
Right. So
am I going to school you? Because you're not like, and it's not.
And Barry comes from Westeros,
right?
He comes from this lordly
conniving
bullshit
area,
yep.
And so for her to just be able to be like, no, you think that I've sold my dragon, when really you're aware as well as I am that I know their tongue, that I've been working on. Granted. Who would expect it from her at this point?
Right.
Nobody's seen her play at this level. This is some fucking
She's a young, hot Khaleesi.
Right.
Former Khaleesi at this
savage,
point.
Savage.
Right. And so...
And I just adore the fact that Martin's like, no, she's on another level. She, like you said, she learned. She's learning and gaining this knowledge. And so that's why I want to equate her to Littlefinger and Varys, some of the best at the game. This ploy, this is fucking top notch.
Yeah, this
and
is
to just,
player level shit.
Like that, she put this whole thing together.
The best actual LOL moment in the chapter, I actually fucking laughed. In High Valyrian, Dany asks the translator's name, which Missandei just goes, oh.
Well, she starts to answer and then realizes that the question came to her in High Valyrian.
Yeah. Like,
you speak High Valyrian?
Yeah.
It is my native tongue, child. Who the fuck do you think you're playing games
we get
with?
Missandei, and Dany frees her as a slave and says she can serve as Dany's handmaiden, or she may leave if she wishes, or at any point if she wishes to stay and serve. Missandei says she has no place to go, so she will serve. Gladly. And talk turns to the Unsullied, and Dany
I put that she interrogates her. It's the way that she pulled that veil away for Missandei, where she was like, I'm much more intelligent.
And then frees her.
And then frees her. But gives her the option.
You can go right now.
You can stay with me, though.
I'll have him pull right over.
So
we'll drop you.
To then have this person, this is very Cersei Sansa to me.
It's riding in the litter. Yeah, right. Yes, this is like a.
She's gaining her trust,
empathy,
and that she's never experienced this. Tell me about you. I'm a queen. Tell me about you. Even a bit of Marjorie thrown in here because the compassion she's showing to her, and I think it's genuine.
I do too.
But it's almost completely throwing Missandei off her.
For sure.
She doesn't know how, like, wow.
She's willing to give this information.
And starting to realize that, like, holy shit, like, you just played them hard.
Yeah.
Like, starting to realize, because obviously she doesn't know that she's going to turn and burn, but.
Dany essentially wonders what she would do with such unfeeling men once she won her kingdom. And Missandei says they make great guards and, house guards or such. Or, if you really wish, you could make them fall on their swords. And she kind of stutters at this, and Dany's like, you don't want me to do that, though. And Missandei confesses that 3 of her brothers, or there's 3 Unsullied that were once her brothers, which is
the artist formerly known as Missandei's brothers.
Horrible way of phrasing it.
It's terrible.
And Dany just thinks, okay, she tells her, I won't do that then. But she thinks that those 3 are as brave and clever as Missandei is, which is like, Dany immediately is like, I want this girl. She's fucking valuable. She's strong. She's clever.
And she's caring.
She has 3 people that she cares for, and she cares kind of as a whole for the Unsullied in this regard.
It's hive mind
almost. She understands the brutality that they've all gone through, and that her brothers, somewhere in that faceless, nameless crowd, they're there. And so, she kind of has to care for them all because anyone could be her brother. But back on the ship, she cries a while and then argued with Grolio, as he didn't want the ship sold. But she's like, fuck you, I'm queen, I do what I want.
Do what I want.
To suck my dick.
And then she feeds her dragons.
And sleep is hopeless, so eventually she goes up on deck, and Jorah joins her soon enough.
So I think that's all more, because obviously the crying and all that, it's going to be high-stress situation.
High-stress, yeah, for sure.
And nervous as fuck for the next day.
And learning Missandei's story, this little translator who 3 of her brothers are forced to go, and then she has to translate for the men who sell them and did it to them, and crying for her and how helpless that is. And Yeah, I think a lot of it is just that stress relief of she's got nervous energy for tomorrow. She's about to fucking cook these motherfuckers.
Yeah. And not knowing 100% if that's going to work. Because,
right.
I mean...
This could all go to shit in
if the dragons don't fucking...
If the Unsullied don't answer the call right away.
Right.
There's a lot...
If somebody happens to pierce the dragon before it can... so many things could go wrong here.
So, Jorah joins her, and she says that Viserys didn't protect her. Essentially, they talk for a bit, but essentially she gets down to saying Viserys didn't protect her. He was her brother and her king. Why do the gods make kings and queens if not to protect the ones who can't protect themselves? And then she thinks justice. That's what kings are for. And so that there is the scary line for Dany, is she's got the one thought of kings and queens are meant to protect the ones who can't, which is what she's doing here. The whole Misa,
and
all
then
that shit. And then
hard
hard to justice. And that could be the burning of King's
Rattle
Landing,
her cages,
right?
like, you're going to start fucking Batman.
Where's that line?
Yeah.
So that night, she dreams she's Rhaegar.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It just, because I made the joke of the rattle the cages, like, Christian Bale's Batman. It made me think of that, a hero only lasts as long enough to see themselves become
you either die a hero or live long enough to see. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's very much what she's got going on here, in my opinion, where she's going to end up turning to a point where she's doling out too much justice.
I mean, it for sure, Martin is setting up the pathway for that. For either way, she could take the turn, and either way it'll be right. Here's
he
the
does it
signs
so
for
well. These early. I mean, we've been pointing him out since book 1, but
This is a hard line here. A king should protect the ones who can't protect themselves. A king is for justice and doling out justice. Like that. Those are pretty two hard lines that we've seen that justice kind of is in the eye of the beholder in this world, and so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That night. She dreams she's Rhaegar at the Trident, mounted on a dragon. The usurper's armies were armored all in ice, but she melted them all away. This is how it was meant to be. The other was a nightmare. I have only now awakened. Is this a premonition-y dream, or is this a weird shit going on in her life dream?
I think that this one is one that deserves breaking down right now. But I don't think it's a premonition. I think this is Martin's way of kind of showing the theme and foreshadowing what's coming the next day. Her words there, this isn't like the last one?
The other was a nightmare, yeah.
Now, is that the original Trident with Rhaegar? Or is that...
I think that's what she's saying.
She's referring to that was a nightmare.
That Rhaegar should have had a dragon.
Right.
I think is essentially what that's boiling down to. I have one here at my Trident.
Right.
He didn't have one there, and that's why he died.
Now, does the enemies of ice have any kind of significance to the north?
Well, that is my that brings me to the very next scene. If Quaith is communicating through glass candles, I think it could be a premonition of I think Quaith could be bleeding in here a little bit.
Okay.
And the ice could be a premonition of
because I could definitely see the ice just
being we also see Jon armored in ice in Dance in a dream sequence, and he's armored in ice, fucking knocking the dead off the wall, and so just the actual specific line that they are all armored all in ice is just
right.
I understand, melting them to water, like
it could be this just a sign of like her enemies before a dragon or like ice.
Candle, like they're made of wax could work, suffice. They're made of flesh
armored
before
in ice.
Dragon fire.
Right, and that's kind of what I was thinking is like what the imagery could be potentially alluding to. Or it could be, as you're mentioning.
Right. Why do you need imagery to represent burning people with a dragon, though? Like,
exactly.
It's the same result. Like,
exactly.
Flesh boils and burns and pops. Like,
it's gonna be the
so why do they need to be ice to represent it? And that's the interesting question, I think. And then she wakes suddenly.
So one last thing, because you had actually mentioned it, that the coming up is her trident, and that
she thinks. I wouldn't equate it to that.
Right. You said the field of fire.
Yeah, I think there's more
This
akin
is
to
her field of fight.
This is her bringing a dragon, reintroducing a dragon's potency of a weapon into the world again.
And so
as Aegon did on that field of fire, man.
Right.
Ah!
And I agree that it's much more that than the trident.
There's no army waiting for her prepped and ready.
And this isn't the fight for her kingdom, her throne yet. This is
to
just
defend her family and
right.
legacy.
This is just the beginning of the conquest.
Yep.
So yeah, but I just wanted to
for sure.
As well.
She wakes suddenly and she's not really sure how, but she knows someone's in the cabin with her.
It's dark, is what she thought.
She calls for Eerie, for Jeekwe, for Jorah, and hears back, "They sleep. They all sleep. Even dragons must sleep." Which makes me think that Quaith was indeed just diddy bopping through this glass candle.
I'm just walking through your dream.
And Dany's like, she's standing over me somehow, some way, which tells me that I don't think Dany is quite out of this dream stupor yet.
Concur.
I think Quaith is here, right above her, because that's
almost
what the glass candle is allowing.
Yeah,
and we get the mantra. Remember, to go north, you must journey south. To reach the west, you must go east. To go forward, you must go back. And to touch the light, you must pass beneath the shadow. And Dany jumps up, opens the door, but the cabin is empty. And she isn't able to sleep after that. So, why now? Is it because of the significance? Or Quaith feels the need to remind Dany.
Right? So
she says, remember that to go north, blah,
yes,
blah, blah, blah.
I feel
right now you need to remember this.
Yes, that
Dany.
Because she's about to go and do this little conquering thing. Do you think she does remember it? Is my thing. Because I think Quaith is here to say, after you finish this little leg here, once you've got your army, don't forget what you need to do next. And that's this.
That's what I'm trying to figure out is this Quaith saying go ahead with your plan or pull back from it? This is a distraction. You don't need it. Put that away. Or do what you're doing, but remember the end goal. That's the question that's super significant and is missing from Quaith. That's the big question mark about Quaith. Because then Dany thinks, if I look back, I am lost. She hasn't said that in a hot minute.
Right.
She said that when she was getting ready to burn the pyre.
Mm-hmm.
Kill
Did you say crossing the desert, the
when she was leading the Dothraki, and then I believe even going through the House of the Undying.
Right.
But she hasn't said it yet this book. And so I don't believe, I could be mistaken, it might be in this book, but a hot minute. And so Quaith kind of brings that back up, and I think that's an interesting bit as well. But the next morning comes, riding her silver, dressed in her Dothraki garb, with the braid in her hair for the undying warlocks of Qarth.
I love her silver.
It's the Drogon.
It's just
Drogon gift.
In her first chapter back in Game of Thrones, we talked about how horses equal freedom
for her.
And when's the last time we saw her on her silver?
I think leading her people through the desert, but I don't think she was on it.
And so here she is, about to go free all of these fucking Unsullied, all the slaves here, and she's riding her silver through town.
Astapor is crowded this morning as people want to see the dragons just as they did in Qarth, and she realizes that maybe these two cities aren't exactly that different. And Dany's posse moves through, and the dragons are chained to the litter. The Plaza of Pride was much too small to hold all the Unsullied, so instead they go to the Plaza of Punishment. What a aptly named place for this to occur. And as they enter, Dany sees flayed slaves left.
Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav.
What's he doing
What
there?
up, Dany? You want a flavor of love? She sees flayed slaves left to rot and die. Oof. Oof. If there was any chance of her not going through with it.
Right.
Fuck you, Dany.
Right.
And so, yeah. And rank on rank the Unsullied stood. 8,600 and then some. 5,000 behind them, untrained boys.
They were flayed for raising hands against their
masters, of course.
So
yeah.
I just wanted to mention.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
So we all have probably heard at this point that Martin isn't exactly too keen on numbers. So we get 8,600 here. We'll see. Krasnus and his fellows, of course, are there, dressed all ravishly. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, it's gross. And the trade goods are all brought forward, and the rest, she says, awaits them on the ships. And Krasnus tells her to bleed the Unsullied early. Any slaves that she should take along her trials with bleeding them, bring back here, and we'll buy them for a good price.
You're not helping your cause, dog. Like, shit, man.
Quaith unfastens Drogon's chain and hands it over to Dany. And Dany hands the chain to Krasnus, and he hands her the whip. The Harpy's fingers, a fucking brutal lash of nasty vileness to just absolutely reflect this small-dicked little fucking cunt in front of her. And it's done.
It is done. It is known.
Dany mounts her silver, as of course she does.
She has to.
Hi-ho, silver, away! Heart pounding.
Dude, this moment here, even in the books, like, my fucking adrenaline spikes.
She wonders if Rhaegar was this nervous seeing Robert's armies across the Trident. And in Valyrian, she shouts, "It is done. The Unsullied are bought now and hers." And the old slaver, the oldest, turned his head sharply hearing her speak. But the others weren't listening, much too distracted and trying to get Drogon to come.
I love that one noticed.
I love that one noticed.
Somebody before.
We've got to know we've been played
shit
so hard, yep. They were all gathered around Krasnus, who couldn't get Drogon to get off the litter. Come on, you fucker. She thinks it is time to cross the Trident, and she rides back to Krasnus. "He will not come," Krasnus says. And she says, "A dragon is no slave." And she swept the lash across his face.
Yo, there was it so fucking quick that she just...
A dragon is not a slave.
Right away, boom, fuck you. Like, no hesitation.
It cuts his face to ribbons, gouting blood out. He stumbles back. Dany calls Drogon Dracarys. And Krasnus is fucking melted. Just goop. And the Plaza of Punishment blew apart into blood and chaos, which is, I think, one of Martin's best lines to date. Maester screamed and fled. Eerie and Jiqui released the other two dragons. My girls.
They know their part.
It is known.
It is known these dragons will burn you.
The Plaza guards fled or were killed by her blood riders. One master commands the Unsullied to defend them and dies at their feet as Barristan shoves a spear through him.
Fuck yeah, Barry.
The Unsullied do not move. Dany commands them. "I command you now. Slay the masters, slay the soldiers, slay every man that wears a tokar or carries a whip, but harm no child under 12, and strike the chains off of every slave you see." She flung the scourge aside. "Freedom," she shouts. And then Dracarys, and it's chanted back at her. Dracarys, Dracarys.
And the dragons are hearing this chanted.
And it's the sweetest word she ever heard. And around them slavers ran and sobbed and begged and died. The dusty air filled with spears and fire. Again, this is your field of fire, Dany. This is not your trident.
Yeah, this is so good.
But it's so fucking good.
Oh my god.
And the chanting of Dracarys, man, like, what a way to do it. What a way to do it. And that's the end of Dany 3. Fucking hell.
Fuck yeah,
One of Dany's best chapters, because it's actually her showing her growth and her progression.
And her intelligence. And she's so fucking smart about this. She does it so well. She plays them
so good, yeah.
So well. And Martin's writing for, like, those little things, just the thought of it brought, bitterness
made her ill, yeah.
to her. And, like, all those little things about selling her children and... Yeah, I love how this one was written. Such a sweet, sweet, sweet chapter.
Yeah, all right. Let's convene our small council and get some inductees for Dany 3.
Okay, let's do that, yeah. Holy shit, man, I need to settle down after reading that.
Tap, tap, tap.
We didn't actually just read it. We just talked about reading it.
But
You get
that.
the idea.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so fucking worked up that I can't even speak correctly.
We got some really, really good inductees from you guys. So first we'll get to our own here. You got an inductee? You do not. Okay, mine's going to Miss Sunday.
Damn, that was the first one I was thinking of.
Because the reveal of her brothers and how much she actually had to fucking deal with. Not just being a slave, not just translating for this fuck, but translating for the fuck that literally brutalized 3 of our family members. And they're the peaceful people.
Yeah.
So, Miss Sunday for being such a badass little bitch
Good
and
one.
just killing it. And immediately kind of sensing some sort of kinship in Dany of like, she's gonna fuck shit up, I think, and I kind of want to be there to see it.
I like her.
And so, yeah.
She says okie dokie.
She doesn't. You?
Yes, I'm going to give mine to Silver.
Silver. Yeah, the Silver.
Her
Drogon's
reappearance.
Drogo's a gift to her.
The reappearance, the meaning, I feel, the representation of freedom, both to Dany
She fucking just
and
shouted
to
it out,
everybody.
bro.
you
Yeah.
know. And so, of course, of all chapters for it to reappear
Right.
in, this is the most perfect one, and I just love it.
For her to start to like command an army from atop her Silver for the first time.
I know
is
you've
really
not
sick.
read the trilogy proper of the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I don't know how much you're aware of Shadowfax.
Shadowfax.
But Silver is just so fucking magical to me. For such a simple horse, such a, in Dothraki culture, like it's a very well-bred steed, but I don't know, there's something about it that just seems fantastical to me whenever it shows up, and I love it.
I think because it's a reflection of Dany.
Because it's a glowing white steed.
Dany uses it to have these badass moments where she feels most herself, and it's with her Silver because it reminds her of the freedom of that first ride and all the other good shit with it. Yeah, so I like that one.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to start with your guys' emails. This week, just so you know, I realized that I said a fuck ton this episode, man. It's no good. I'm sorry, people. I'll try to edit those out. Anyway, Sarah wrote in. Thanks, Sarah. She didn't actually come up with an inductee because an unductee is what I called it because she didn't send one in. So it's an unductee email. And she just...
Who are we voting out?
We're not voting anybody out. They can stay.
Nate.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm a co-host. You can't
Fuck
vote
yes.
me out.
Solo show.
Apparently. Who's going to... You don't know how to do any of this shit. Get out of here.
Co-host is back.
So, thanks for writing in, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
I just wanted to acknowledge your email there, and we are super happy you got your sticker. Yay!
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, that arrived.
As well, Karen got hers as well, and she sent us a picture. And anyway, go ahead and read an inductee.
We got an inductee for Dany 3 from Julian, our favorite French fry in France. And he says... Free shot, fuck Jorah, which is always makes me laugh. He's gonna have to induct.
You told me that I have to read his outro.
Oh yeah, Julian, you're back at your bullshit. And he is going to induct Missandei as well for being the precious gem of a girl she seems to be. I also did want to read that he loved to read that Missandei cares about the Unsullied because her actual brothers got enrolled and passed the tests. I thought you put it a little more eloquently. Like, they went through the dog shit. They went through the sword and shield and spear and blah, blah, blah training. Strong family that must be, but also broken family.
Yeah,
that's exactly what Dany sees in her immediately. It's like, this little girl is so strong. What are those 3 like? Like, does it run the family? So I really like the way Julian phrased it, as opposed to my shitty inductee.
And then his outro, Valasta la vista, masters of Asta Paris.
Get that one. Good riddance.
Awesome.
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you so much.
For the tongue twister, too.
Yeah, it was a fun one. I almost died right there from the tongue twister.
Gross.
That's how twisted my tongue was. Anyway, we also got an inductee from lovely Karen, and she had shared a lot of the same thoughts with Miss Sunday, I believe. I'm reading through it again, just refreshing.
What a terrible, terrible man.
Go fuck yourself, man. Don't fucking get on my back when I'm over here trying to carry this show on my shoulders somehow. I wasn't reading any of it while I was
Atlas
talking
shrugged.
shit, but anyway, Karen's inductee is Quaith. She really looking forward to hoping that we get more of her in Winds. I'm phrasing shit weird as hell right now. She's a badass, and we want to see what she knows.
I'll read your next inductee, I promise.
She also likes that she reminds Dany of her mantra, if I look back, I'm lost. Remember when I used to yell at you for whispering?
I do.
Thank you, Karen, so much. We appreciate it.
And while not an inductee for Dany 3, I did want to give a quick shout-out to Kristen, who has been writing us in about her reread of A Clash of Kings while listening to the podcast as well, and writing in her opinions, of which
every
we read
single
single email, and they're fantastic. We really hope you're able to catch up and do some active inductees with us, because we just love everything you say. However, you knew it was fucking coming. The Renly Rage.
Guys, she just got to the Renly Rage, and it's fucking wonderful. I adore her.
No. How dare you raise valid points about Renly, like, maybe having a right.
Having a claim.
But, no, you're right. The by law bullshit is bullshit, and I love the way you said it's, but the founding fathers said.
Yes,
like,
so good.
Absolutely it is. Stannis' claim is
claim of conquest,
no
man,
more valid than Robert's was,
right.
than anyone else's.
Absolutely.
And so, for sure.
But he still adores you because you sent in a Lost reference.
Well, of course, and mentioned East Essos. I mean, you know it's good. But, Renly is still a piece of shit. It doesn't deserve to rule. But thank you, Kristen, because I look forward to your emails every single time we see them popping up. I dedicate time to stop what I'm doing and read it because they're good. They have great insight, and they're usually hilarious. So keep writing in. Thank you, Julian and
Karen,
Sarah,
and
everybody who's been showing all us some love.
Loves and supports the Twitters and the Facebooks and YouTube everywhere. Follow us on all of those.
Do that.
I suppose I should give the actual handles instead of just, go over there and we just kind of pop up. We're not that popular, so we don't just pop up.
Nope.
Facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. We won't be leaving after this because we still have to announce what the next chapter is that, in case people don't follow the books themselves.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter @MannersWithout. Zach is on Twitter, Carstark92. We can be reached via email, withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. We have our website, brotherhoodwithout.com. Patreon.com/withoutmanners is where you can send us a little bit of money to help support us. We also have like a PayPal, paypal.com/ is it Manners Without? Or just go to our website and there's a donate button. You can click on that and that'll send you there. I think that's also on the YouTube. It's on the Pod News and the Pod Chaser. So follow us wherever you feel like. Hopefully it's a bunch of those places so you can write to us and review us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify doesn't allow. Do they allow reviews? Do you ever review anything on Spotify? I don't know. I follow a bunch of shit on Spotify, but I don't review anything there. So follow us there. Review us where you can. And we love you guys. Hopefully you will be joining us on the next chapter, next episode, which we'll be reading chapter Sansa 3.
Chapter Sansa 3.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, Sansa 3. Nate and I were doing a quick little discussion at the beginning of this episode because we couldn't recall what it is.
Yeah.
Sansa will be getting married next episode.
Tyrion and the wedding.
And so, we'll be joining poor little Sansa for that.
Yeah, sometimes when we've, done some stuff and then recorded it already, then we try not to think too hard about the episodes so that way we can move forward with our next notes and everything. And so I forgot what Sansa was, and then because we lost it, man. So we'll be re-recording that. Tyrion's wedding. Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's all right. I feel like this episode was okay considering it had to be re-recorded. Obviously, if it was subpar, we apologize because major technical difficulties. We lost, 3 episodes?
Something.
And so, we apologize for that. Hopefully this one is free and clear and you can hear us.
Hear us.
Join us on the next one. Valor to Harris.
Peace!